Look at this one.
Alice Almendarez and her 4 sisters knew something was wrong when a week went by without hearing from their father.
My dad was a softie. He had 5 girls, and he adored us.
When Alice tried to report him missing, she says the Houston police didn't take her concerns seriously. She says that because he had a criminal record and no permanent address, the police assumed he had intentionally left his family.
They told me that maybe my father didn't want to be found. Maybe he was tired of having a family. It was hard because you felt like you were fighting them to do their job.
She didn't learn his fate for 12 years.
You can't celebrate a holiday when there's somebody missing from the room. I actually was supposed to get married, and I didn't get married because I couldn't get married without my dad.
The FBI estimates that there are some 80,000 reported missing people on any given day in the United States. At the same time, there are over 10,000 unidentified bodies. There is no national law requiring agencies to share this information, leaving many families in the dark about their loved one's fate. The U.S. Justice Department calls it the nation's silent mass disaster.
Sooner or later, we have to address this problem.
After 13 years as Las Vegas coroner, Michael Murphy says that because there is no unified approach to reporting Jane and John Doe's, bodies go unidentified far too long.
You could have a body that was on one side of a county line, and the next county could have had that individual reported as missing, and no one may have talked to each other.
In Alice's case, it happened within the same Texas county. After 12 years of searching for her father, she learned that authorities had found his body only a few miles from where she lived, just weeks after their last visit.
If I would have known the whole time that my dad was already dead, I would have had some kind of peace knowing that my dad wasn't starving, wasn't hungry, wasn't being hurt.
You know, a traditional funeral, 3 days you're buried, and then you find ways to adapt to your new life. In a missing persons case, it's like a funeral that goes on for years.
Todd Matthews started out as part of a network of volunteer sleuths working on cold cases involving nameless victims. It's become a full-time job.
My day job is finding the missing among the dead.
After Matthews identified a body from a 1960s murder case, the Department of Justice called on him to help create a database, the National Missing and Unidentified Person System, or NamUs, the first ever federal catalog that made it possible for anyone to search official missing persons and unsolved Jane and John Doe cases. He is now the Director of Communications and Case Management for the NamUs program. Today, Matthews is exhuming a body that's been unidentified for 45 years. The skeletal remains are believed to be those of a young woman who was found dead off a remote trail in eastern Kentucky in 1969, murdered with stab wounds to the chest.
Somebody's getting away with it. The criminal aspect of it is somebody's getting away with murder.
Even with no formal training in forensics, Matthews is regarded as an expert in identifying human remains.
It's just a matter of having to sit down and just go through these cases and find what you're looking for. The answers are in the system for a lot of these cases.
The NamUs system allows authorities to automatically perform cross-matching comparisons between databases, searching for similarities.
I'm good. We're at an exhumation in Kentucky from a 1969 Jane Doe case. I've got some bones.
The main lab that the NamUs database relies on is at the University of North Texas, where scientists extract and analyze DNA from unidentified remains. But by itself, this DNA is not enough. To make an ID, there needs to be a matching source of DNA. That's why loved ones of missing persons have gathered in Houston, Texas for Family Day, where volunteer groups and officials managing the NamUs database have gathered along with law enforcement to get more families to put their DNA into the system.
My son is missing. His name is Ryan Jacob Esparza. He's missing out of Pasadena, Texas. This is the park that supposedly he was last seen at.
Gloria Esparza brought her family so that their cheeks could be swabbed. Their DNA will be compared to likely matches to see whether any of the recorded John Does are Gloria's son.
My world has been turned upside down, up and down, and I want off. I want off of this roller coaster.
Coroner Michael Murphy in Las Vegas thinks that connecting the missing and the unidentified in one database is a big step in the right direction, but there's still more to do.
There is not a national requirement or any law that I'm aware of that says that coroner medical examiners' offices, law enforcement agencies, or whomever will report to a database about unidentified remains. Connecting this information is vital to the success of identifying unidentified persons.
That's why I'm here to urge my friends to join us in supporting Billy's Law, legislation that will begin correcting these problems that plague our nation's missing persons system.
In 2009, then Representative Chris Murphy introduced a bill that would establish standards for reporting missing and unidentified persons. But that effort and two following ones failed to gain broad support. Recently, now Senator Murphy sponsored the bill for a fourth time.
I can say there are agencies, medical examiners, coroners, law enforcement that still today don't know about NamUs. So much as we've done to get the word out, free tools, free science, and still, there are still people that don't know about it.
Late last year, the NamUs program surpassed more than 10,000 unidentified bodies in their database. A grim milestone, but one that increases the odds that the missing will be found. Alice's father used to be one of those cases, until 2014, when Alice submitted her DNA for comparison. Just a few months later, there was a match.
If everybody was entered into that database, a lot of people would have the closure, not that they wanted, but what they needed in order to be able to live again.
Alice's father remains buried at the Harris County Cemetery, where he's been for 10 years, marked as an unknown Hispanic male.
Hey, how come I'm not in that picture?
Today, Alice is waiting to exhume his body so she can bury him in their family cemetery, using a gravestone with his real name.
No matter what somebody does, I don't think they deserve to just be buried as John Doe. My dad had a name. That was not his name.